probably most important to this audience. We received our FERC certificate coming out of March in 2015, and we've commenced construction. So that's the point I really want to hammer home. So we have 3 projects I'm going to share with you this morning in various cycles of development. Some in construction, some in execution. I'll elaborate on what that means, and then some still in the development phase. But no longer are we just putting up arrows with swooshes on them saying we want to bring gas from here to there. We're actually building something, and thanks to a lot of folks in this room who are helping us build that. Actually, if you go to the next slide, Kate. So there's a not the most interesting picture, but you can see the timestamp on it, August 11th. We're adding a new compressor station in Cromwell, Connecticut, that will help enhance the capacity of the existing system. And we're well on our way towards the 2016 in-service that was highlighted on that prior graphic. If you go to the next slide, one more picture, and then I promise I'll get back to the project here. But this is also activity ongoing in Cromwell, Connecticut. It's what we call a pipeline loop, which simply is putting in new pipe adjacent to the existing pipeline. And that's an important fact I would like to just point out to you. Very different than the NED project that Curtis was speaking to. We've adopted a different approach with respect to meeting the needs of our customers in the region. One we characterize in the industry as a lift and replace, or a brownfield approach, where we are taking out segments of existing pipeline, smaller diameter pipeline, replacing it with larger diameter pipeline, adding compression like you saw in that earlier graphic, to boost the capacity of the existing system without having to acquire new right-of-way and construct new facilities, much like the NED project's pursuing. Not to say that that's not an approach we don't do at Spectra Energy. In fact, we do. We build a lot of greenfield pipelines. But as I mentioned earlier, with respect to our approach here, the dialogue that we engaged in up front led us down this path, and you'll see there's a consistent theme with our projects that I'm going to walk through that adopt this approach. So next slide. So the Atlantic Bridge project, you heard both Tony and Curtis speak of the challenges with declining offshore production in Nova Scotia and the Atlantic Canada market, in northern New England as well, the maritime system that I'm responsible for, really struggling to secure long-term, reliable, cost-effective supplies of natural gas for their needs. And this project will go a long way towards solving that. We are on the heels of AIM. We hope to get this project in service in 2017. Again, it's adopting that same approach of lift and replace construction, adding new compression as necessary. You can see some of the facilities that will be required as part of this project. But this is very significant in that it will for the first time allow for flows of natural gas on a south to north basis on the maritime system, which interconnects, if you look at the map there, north of Boston in the Beverly, Massachusetts area, south of Portsmouth there that you see on the map there, and will allow gas to flow through Algonquin into the maritime system, as I said, and all the way into the Atlantic Canada markets. And we've got subscription from LDCs and industrial customers in Atlantic Canada that are supporting this project. And the capacity of this is roughly 133,000 decatherms per day. Okay? So before I go to this, just a little color commentary. I'm very pleased with the progress we've made towards meeting the needs of our local distribution company and industrial customers across our system. The AIM and Atlantic Bridge project, will go a long way towards satisfying those needs for a long time to come. A lot of folks often ask me, how does this compare to what Curtis and Kinder Morgan are pursuing with their NED project? And the truth is that the volumes that Curtis alluded to on the market path, roughly 550,000 a day, are identical to what we're doing here with AIM and Atlantic Bridge. We're on a quicker timeline, as I said, because of that approach. We're able to move forward and get these projects built and into service on a timely basis. But it's roughly comparable from a market demand and need perspective. Just different approaches on how we get from point A to point B. So that's maybe helpful for folks who are kind of trying to put all the pieces of these projects together and understand how they all intertwine and the like. But what's noticeably absent and Curtis alluded to this, from all of our projects are the power generators. And there's don't have time to get into that debate today, but lack of incentives, lack of ability to make those 20-year commitments that we as pipeline companies require to go to FERC and get approval to put these projects into execution have been challenging given the design of the New England ISO market. So, the backdrop to it is, over 50% of our generation here in New England is fueled by natural gas. A little snapshot of kind of who's doing what in terms of the attachment of generators to the various pipelines in the region. The bottom line is, we need a different model to attack this. And Kate, if you go to the next slide, before I go to that, back one, apologize. So, in addition to the existing generation that was on the prior slide, that we roughly serve a little over 60% across the Spectra family of pipelines, we've got another 1,750 megawatts plus or minus slated to come online, as you see in the table there. And then there's another plant that's been announced. It hasn't cleared the ISO auction yet. It's the Invenergy power plant, which will be located adjacent to our Burrillville, Rhode Island compressor station. That is slated to go online. Hopefully it clears the auction and we can bring that online. So not only do we have the most significant amount of generation attached to our systems, we're also seeing the new plants wanting to locate across our system, because of our diverse supply options and just overall flexible services and the like. So we see a need to deal with this as we go forward because there's just not capacity signed up directly for these generators to reliably serve them into the future. So next slide, please. So to the challenge, as I mentioned, we've been unsuccessful, and it's not due to a lack of effort in getting power generators signed on to some of these new projects. We understand the challenges they face. They understand our challenges, and we've kind of find ourselves at a bit of a stalemate. So to break this log jam, a little over 2 years ago, we teamed up with Eversource Energy and National Grid, who are our co-developers and partners in our Access Northeast project. And we hope that working with them, we can finally bring forward a solution and break this logjam again that has made it very difficult for generators to have the necessary pipeline capacity to ensure reliability, which ultimately will lead to lower prices. So we're very confident, and Curtis spoke to, in the interest of time, I won't repeat it, some of the developments in New Hampshire and Massachusetts in terms of affirming the legal authority of electric distribution companies to enter into contracts. Obviously need to go through the approval process and screening of whatnot. But we're very pleased with Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Connecticut is pursuing a slightly different path, but Maine also has put forward a path for us to pursue to get a project like this into service in the 2018 timeframe, following on the heels of AIM and Atlantic Bridge. And this solution, again, in addition to being targeted at the power generators, is really one that we feel offers not only the ability to get permitted and constructed by having the EDCs backstop the contractual commitments, but also has a service embedded into it. Curtis spoke about a power serve service. We have a very similar service. It's almost identical, actually. It's called the ERS service that we developed a little over a year and a half ago to bring forward a solution that we felt not only benefited the region, but benefited the true customers. The power generators do dispatch differently than a local distribution company. We recognize that, and we've developed a new service to augment that and complement that, So with that, I will pause there because there's probably some questions. I hope there are anyway. But we're on a great track at Spectra Energy with AIM being in construction, Atlantic Bridge being in execution. We'll file the FERC certificate for that in the next several weeks. And the Access Northeast project, the picture is getting a little brighter for us there with respect to clarity around the state approval processes. We're very close to finalizing proceeding agreements with the customers for this project. And as time warrants, they'll make those submittals within the various states to move this project into execution. So things are happening. We're not just talking anymore, which makes me happy because, as you can tell, I'm losing my voice. I've had a cold, so I apologize for that. But anyway, I'll pause there and thank you again for your time and look forward to some questions.